Hello all. For those who I didn't get to speak to, I hope you guys all enjoyed your fourth. Um, for this week, we were asked to make a video and comment about the human scale and how it affects the government's ability to be effective. First thing we have to realize is the human scale is not just simply about numbers. It's not just simply about how big a populace is, and now that certainly contributes to the human scale, but it's also with all those different people comes different ideas, comes different philosophies about what's right and what's wrong. And as you can see in today's political arena, when you have all those different people who have different ideas, it's very difficult to get stuff done because then you have some people who won't go for other sides, even if it's right. But that's another story. The first thing you have to realize when it comes to human scale is the idea of growth. If you go back and look at the Roman Empire, and being a military historian, this was the easy comparison. You go back and look at the Roman Empire um, when they were smaller, when they were a republic, before before they conquered Greece. Um, they were it was a situation where they were smaller and it was a lot easier to rule. Um, when they got big, too big for their britches, some would say. But when they got bigger and they started to expand into northern Africa, and into Britain, into some of these other places, then you started seeing them having issues because their populace was so big. And the same thing happened to the United States. We got to a point when we were just the original 13 colonies. The colonies themselves, each operate, each individual entity, each individual state, so to speak, operated by themselves. They operated as if they were their own country, um, and they were doing that just fine. The issues started to become when we started to expand westward and we started picking up state after state after state. And now we have all these people, we have all these different ideas and these different ethnicities, we were unwilling and unable to make changes to fit those people. Um, for the sources I use three different sources. One from Jahane Dubrow is called A Human Scale. Um, it basically just talked about the human scale and what effect it has on the government and the people. From Carl Folk, Biological Diversity, Ecosystems, and Human Scale. It talked about more of the human side and more of what goes on inside of us, what's our thinking when it comes to the human scale. And then George Santayana, the human scale, that kind of reverses the same thing. It just talked about the human scale and how our growth and how the populace has affected the government. One of the things that we need to realize is that um, we as humans, regardless of how big we've gotten, we enter into a social contract with the government, and that social contract is we're going to give up some of our rights so that you can better govern all of us. We'll give up a little piece of ourselves so that for the greater good um, is helped. And a lot of times, the issue that we're having now is that the greater good isn't being helped due to the political arena and what's going on. Um, the biggest thing as far as the government, what I will say, I don't want to prolong this, but what I will say, the biggest issue I see with the government when it comes to the human scale is they need to have the ability to do what's right by the people, regardless of those people's color, ethnicity, culture, whatever, and regardless of how big they are. A lot of times we elect these people and they do what's best for them on their own personal ideologies, and that's not why they were elected. And until that changes, we're always going to have problems with the government trying to govern the people. I'll be looking forward to hear your own personal comments about this.